Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Houston, a congregation that welcomes you and extends a heartfelt and inclusive invitation to join us in meaningful worship and in service to the world. We greet all those who join us this morning, those in our sanctuary, all of our many online viewers, así como el creciente número de participantes bilingües que nos acompañan desde sus hogares. We're very pleased this morning to welcome the Reverend Erin J. Walter to the pulpit this morning. She serves as the Minister and Executive Director for the Texas Unitarian Universalist Justice Ministry, our UU State Action Network, and she was the winner of the 2017 Sermon Award from the UU Women's Federation. Please stick around for a reception after the service to introduce yourself to her. I think Tawana even maybe has ice cream to entice you to stick around. Due to an uptick in cases, we are again requiring the wearing of masks while inside the building. We hope it will only be for a brief time, but we continue to err on the side of caution. Now, please join Dr. Rock for our first hymn.
Good morning. I would like to thank Steve Colvin for joining us this morning on the drums. So we're going to have a nice, exciting service. Can you all please open your gray hymnal and turn to number 170. We are a gentle, angry people. Please rise and join me in body or spirit as we sing.
Please be seated. Welcome to this place of worship. Welcome to this place where we can be together to process our thoughts and emotions over recent events. Welcome to a place where we look forward to the promise made nearly 2.5 centuries ago, instead of the hollow words written then, asserting all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Welcome, you who have lately felt confused and betrayed because you have personally felt the hollowness of these words and the perplexing steps backwards to enshrine that hollowness. Welcome to a place to heal, to hope, and to find community to face the challenges of these days. Welcome. Come, let us worship together.
Celebremos compartiendo nuestras vidas, haciendo esta
This is a song I wrote about what it feels like to be alive, and it's just a great joy to make live music with the musicians in this church this morning. It's been too long. There's a feeling I can't describe, what it means to be alive, and no matter how I try, it escapes me. Heart set afire, glowing, crackling wild. It stops me in my tracks, yeah, it wakes me. And I said, ooh, lift me up. I'm done being down. Ooh, wake me up. It's good to be found. Well, I took a moment just for me, and hell, it felt like eternity. The grass had never looked so good on both sides of the street. All the facts were still the same, but just a whole lot less like shame. And I fell in love with the rough spots on my face and feet. Ooh, rise and shine. We only got today to be alive. Yeah, this life is mine, but I share it with you. So sit down,
thank you. I have had discussions with people who question the use of prayer by Unitarian Universalists because we do not share one concept of a divine presence. They don't always understand to whom we are praying. However, I remember a discussion with someone who, although firmly agnostic, was also firmly convinced, although he couldn't explain it, that prayer somehow worked. I also believe that there are things we may never understand. This mystery is, to me, what makes prayer intimate, powerful, and personal. Done alone, with family, or in a faith community like this. Not for show, not as a recruiting tool. So, despite the fact I'm not standing on a 50-yard line, I invite you to join with me in the spirit that some call meditation and others name prayer. Breathe with me the breath of life. Inhale as we share this interwoven, intricate web of affinity. Exhale as we feel one another's presence. Breathe with me as we gather to do the holy work of kinship and support. Open your mind, open your heart. God of many names, endless mystery of life beyond our naming, and identity beyond our comprehension. We acknowledge there is much we do not know, and that we possess but a sliver of the profound wisdom humanity has begun to uncover. But help us to remember we must use what we do know to propel us beyond uncertainty, to work for justice, to work for equity, and to infuse each of these tasks with love and compassion. Help us to remember that the arc is indeed long. We do not see the end of that curvature, and our impatience and setbacks cannot deter our doing what is right. Fill us with hope and conviction, because what we do does make a difference. We may not see the results today, but it does and will make a difference. Thank you for the knowledge that none of this is done alone, either our work or our experiences of joy or sorrow. We are grateful for the faithfulness of community in the unwavering partnership with the energies of creation. We pray in the names of all those known and unknown, present and absent, remembered and forgotten. We pray in the names of all helpers of humankind. Amen. We pause now to lift up that which sits heavy and light on our hearts. I am delighted to report that Edie Shreve has made a remarkable recovery and is back home recuperating. We continue to hold her in our prayers. Carol Gallanty, sister of Diane Stotes and a member of the UU congregation of Atlanta, is undergoing significant health challenges. Diane has gone to help her and her husband, so please keep all of them in your prayers. We mourn and hold in our hearts those dealing with the results of violence, from wars across the world to shootings here in our city. We join the thousands who mourn the vicious and unnecessary loss of life. May we not only learn peace and learn love, may we practice them in our lives. I invite you now to say the name or bring to mind those you wish to be held by the loving embrace of this religious community. They are part of the great cloud of witness and memory, and we will, even if we do not know their names, hold them in our hearts. In this great cloud of witness and memory, amid this beloved community, we hear these names and hold them in our hearts. let us remember the suffering and joy amid and among our community that we do not know. We pause in awe and wonder of the beauty, diversity, and mystery that is life. In the spirit of love, in the spirit of hope, and in the spirit of compassion, I invite each of you to enter into a time of silent prayer, meditation, or reflection.
I love that song. Both sides of my family are from Houston, and my mom and my grandparents lived not far from here. And my mom always used to say, when she raised me Unitarian Universalist in Austin, when I asked her about God and prayer and all of those things, she used to say, "I'm good with the mystery." And I love that. So I love that you have prayer and the mystery in that. How amazing. So I am Reverend Erin Walter, and it is my great joy and honor to be with you today and to represent, as the minister and executive director, your Texas Unitarian Universalist Justice Ministry. And I think we know how deeply Texas needs us, Unitarian Universalists, organized
active, spiritually rooted and grounded, supported by our communities, and in the public square right now. And that is what we do at TexUJM, or TXUUJM, or however you can wrap your voice around it. It's a mouthful, like many things UU. And I will say that we know that the forces that we are working against, our effort for collective liberation is up against some very well-funded folks. And so we need to give deeply and generously and faithfully from all the resources we have. And so I ask you during this time of the offering to do that, knowing that UUs all around the state are doing that, our congregations, as individuals, because we have got to organize. I asked one of our representatives who was just at GA, Carrie Stewart from First Unitarian Church of Dallas, one of your fellow members of the Texas UU Justice Ministry, what she came away from General Assembly with. And she said, my 2 lessons from the keynote speaker, Ibram Kendi: take back our power. And from our UU The Vote partners, our new organizer, Jason Hicks: organize, organize, organize. Amen. So I just come here to ask you to support us as we seek to hire a community organizer to work with you and the Get Out the Vote organizer, Jordan, that you have hired. I'm so excited to work with him. And just to give generously, as you know how important this work is. We are out there fighting, and we are fighting with you, and we deeply, deeply appreciate your support. Thank you.
Please say with me the words found in your order of service to dedicate the offering. To the work of this church, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our lives and these our offerings.
Can't do without this. The first reading today is from the Reverend Teresa Soto. Everything is still on fire, despite your best efforts. In addition to living, it is clear that fire or not, you must level up what it means to thrive. Right now, that means wrestling with the truth in the fact that everything is not your fault, not all your fault. I'm sorry that everything is still on fire. Once hate catches, the winds of not my problem blow and blaze is hard to stop. But hard is not impossible. Not yet is different from never. You, in community, are the answer. You have a response to systems of power and control and to the cost of suffering. You and your community together are the answer. You are not only a people of flame, but also a people of cold, clear truth. You know both where you fall short and where you flourish and where you still reach. Everything is still on fire, but all is not lost. You remain more nimble than steadfast, more unshakable than swayed by the latest rage. You are here to put out the ravenous flames and heal the world. Enough is enough.
Reverend Soto serves our Unitarian Universalist congregation in Oakland, California. And our second reading comes from the Black feminist writer Adrienne Marie Brown, who recently spoke at our General Assembly. If love were the central practice of a new generation of organizers and spiritual leaders, it would have a massive impact. If the goal was to increase the love rather than winning or dominating a constant opponent, I think we could actually imagine liberation from constant oppression. We would suddenly be seeing everything we do, everyone we meet, not through the tactical eyes of war, but through the eyes of love. With those two readings, a little bit of fire and a little bit of love, I present to you our anthem, which is another song of mine with my band from Austin, Parker Woodland. This video that you're going to see, just a brief context and then some spiritual questions for you. This video, I have been showing it to congregations from Key West to Canada over the last 2 years of virtual ministry in the pandemic. So you join with the UUs of our continent in thinking about these questions. When you watch this video, which is a document of the last time I had my community in my home before the pandemic struck, I'd like you to look at the joy practices you see and the people you see. We didn't know it was our last time. We didn't know the pandemic was coming. We just wanted to show some joy. So I ask you, who's in your community? Who would you want to see in the document of your last party? And what would be the joy practices we would see if we were watching this in your home? It's a little punk rock for church, but I'm trusting you to go there with me. Thank you.
They tell you it's your fault if you trust. If there's one thing I know, it's this: opposites do coexist, and the last thing they'll ever kill is love. The world's on fire and we'll still fall in love. The world's on fire and we'll still fall in love. The world's on fire and we're not giving up. No, no, I could let you go, say it's not worth it. Oh, I could give up before we know. And what's the use in having hope? And even though everything's wrong and it shows, I still look at you and I know one thing could be perfect. The world's on fire and we'll still fall in love. The world's on fire and we'll still fall in love. The world's on fire and we're not giving up. No, no. The world's on fire and we'll still fall in love. The world's on fire and we'll still fall in love. The world's on fire and we're not giving up. No, no. I don't wanna be naive, but I catch myself wanting to believe, and I think I could take a risk this time. It's a hard time to look for hope when the truth can feel like a joke or worse. They tell you it's your fault if you try. World's on fire and we'll still fall in love. The world's on fire and we'll still fall in love. The world's on fire and we're not giving up. No, no. The world's on fire and we'll still fall in love. The world's on fire and we'll still fall in love. The world's on fire and we'll still fall in love. The world's on fire and we'll still fall in love.
Each other, and we're going to need our fun and our joy to keep it going. The feminist scholar Carol Myers says that Exodus is arguably the most important book of the Bible, and it is to me. The story of enslaved people making their way on a hard journey through the desert to the promised land of liberation, what more important story could there be? And so I'm going to read to you a little piece from my edition of the Bible. I grew up Unitarian Universalist with very little Bible in my life. The one sermon I remember about Jesus from when I was a kid was from Easter, and it was called How Jesus is Like the Lone Ranger. I've committed to myself that I'm going to reach out to that minister. I'm friends with him on Facebook and ask him what the answer was, because I don't remember. Reverend Fred Wooten, I'm going to reach out to you. But anyway, I have committed myself as someone who is passionate about interfaith, multiracial justice activism to become more spiritually literate in the Bible. And this one, the Poverty and Justice Bible, comes from our friends and partners in the Poor People's Campaign. The Reverend Dr. William Barber used this one, so I said, well, that is good enough for me. So this piece from Exodus chapter 16, verses 19 through 21 is my jam. The Israelites had walked safely through on dry ground. Miriam, the sister of Aaron, was a prophet. So she took her tambourine and led the other women out to play their tambourines and to dance. Then she sang to them. What do we have here? We have a female prophet. We have her community. She is not singing and dancing just for herself, although I say sing and dance like no one's watching, like everyone's watching, whenever you want to sing and dance. But I love that they are together. And this passage has grown in depth for me over the years. The more people I talk to about it, what is most important to me right now about it, not just that they sang and danced, not just that they made time and saved energy for joy on that very hard journey in what was a very hard life in this story, but that, can you imagine, just imagine for a minute, put yourself in their sandals. You are going to sneak out away from your captors in the night. You can't take much. Your children may be with you. The care and the dedication it would take to pack tambourines, and not just to keep them quiet so that you didn't raise suspicion, but the faith in your one bag, perhaps, where you could be carrying food. The faith that you will be provided for, that life will find a way, that you and your community will find a way to take that part of your parcel and save it for a tambourine. Amen. I can never get over it, how powerful that is. And so I invite you in this time that we are in, which I feel can be very much akin to that long, hard journey in various ways, depending on your life experience, to remember to bring your joy, to remember to have faith, to claim what it is to be people of faith as Unitarian Universalists. Let us not surrender people of faith to those who will tell us that we don't control our own bodies, to those who will tell us that it's our fault if the police shoot our family, to those who will tell us that who we love is a sin. No. We are needed in the public square. Your Texas Unitarian Universalist Justice Ministry, I invite you, you saw that community in my video, I invite you in to the greater joyful community of the Texas Unitarian Universalist Justice Ministry and the work that we are doing together. We are bringing our tambourines, we are reclaiming our power, and we need you. So 2 weeks ago, I was with the Reverend Dr. William Barber in Washington, D.C., with many UUs from around the country for the Moral March on Washington. And with this being Independence Weekend, I would like us to think of it as Interdependence Weekend. Think about our seventh principle, the interconnected web of which we are all a part, and really claim that. At the Moral March on Washington, we heard speeches from folks who have been doing this work a very long time. Dr. Barber, Cornel West. We heard from people who are directly impacted by all the issues that we are working on. The leaders of the Poor People's Campaign are poor people, are low-wage workers. And they came by bus. Some of them are unhoused at this time in their lives. They came by bus from all around the country to testify of what it is like to try to thrive in this country. It was very powerful to gather with other UUs, to gather with our Texas Poor People's Campaign partners. The Justice Ministry has been reading this book, We Cry Justice, Reading the Bible with the Poor People's Campaign, as a weekly meditation and partnership with them. So it was very powerful to be together. But I want to tell you about the most powerful moment for me. And then I invite you to do some visioning. My colleague, Reverend Lisa Garcia Sampson, who leads the North Carolina UU State Action Network. We are not alone in Texas. Our friends in other states are rooting for us, working with us. We're taking actions together. Reverend Lisa and I stayed and stayed and stayed. And after the luminaries had even left the stage, the volunteer tri-chair organizers of the Poor People's Campaign remained on the stage with the musicians. And they were singing in a huddle just to themselves. The live stream had cut off. They weren't looking at those of us who remained on the concrete. But it was so powerful. They had been singing the song that has the verse, "There's an army rising up to break every chain. There's an army rising up to break every chain." And our signs had been saying, "Rising tide, lift all boats. Lift from the bottom, everybody rises." And Reverend Liz Theo Harris had gotten in front of us and said, actually, you know what? I'm not gonna say it was her. It was actually one of the speakers from the Union of Flight Attendants, a white woman in a Black Lives Matter shirt. Now that my brain remembers correctly, this woman from the Flight Attendants Union said, "We are not the boats. We are the rising tide." And that really stuck with me. So they were singing, "There's an army rising up to break every chain." But then after everything else had gone and fallen away, to each other they were singing, "I hear the chains falling. I hear the chains falling," over and over again. "I hear the chains falling." And people were dancing to each other in this huddle. Some of them had their masks on. "I hear the chains falling." And it went on for a long time, and it was so powerful, and I could hear it. Like tambourines in the desert, I could hear the chains falling. And so I ask you today to think about, feel about, be about a vision of collective liberation that we are going to bring about. I was listening to the sermon from last Sunday from First Unitarian Church of Dallas, which was a birthplace of Roe v. Wade. The women in that congregation sought out a lawyer and they worked toward that legal action. And ever since they did that, other folks have been working to undo it. And so it's a long, long journey for all of us. But we need to remember that we've been on this road a long time. And that we've got to keep our vision. We cannot be too discouraged. We have each other. We have resources. Claim your power. Take action with us. But I need you to envision what it will be like, even if it's generations from now, even if it's your children's children's children, for every chain to be broken of poverty, of misogyny, of racism, of an earth that is crying out. However you can picture it, I need you to see it as clearly as that party in my house. Picture what it will look like for you and hold on to it. And then I want to get to know you and I want to hear about it. Because here's what's going on with the Texas UU Justice Ministry. We're celebrating 10 years. I honor my colleague, Reverend Chuck Freeman, who helped get this started, the members of our board, the members of your congregation who have been contributing for 10 years. I give thanks for Dale Story and Ron Cookston and Mary Cook and everyone who's been involved from this church. For your ministers, I thank Reverend Colin and Reverend Scott for having me and for their collegial support. And in this next chapter, we know we have our work cut out for us. So we are not waiting to go to the Capitol every couple of years, though we will do that. Our legislators will hear from us and they will see us in person, but we are not waiting. We are meeting every week on Zoom, and we are taking the actions of our directly impacted partners, and we are listening to them, and we are doing those things. We get together on Zoom, UUs from around the state, sometimes people from those congregations from Florida to Canada come and visit, and we take action. We were part of the wide effort to get clemency for Melissa Lucio. We are working on immigration. We are working and supporting trans kids and non-binary kids, Texans and their families. Whatever issue you care about, the weekly action hour, you can bring it to us, and we will all collectively together take that action. And it sounds like chains falling, and it sounds like tambourines. We also do this with joy. On Fridays, I teach a dance class on Zoom. You're all invited. It was very hard for me to sit there while that video was on. Why did I sit down? I really wanted to get up and dance. We're very, very intentional about our joy practices so we can stay in this. So come and talk to me about that after the service as well. We're offering an OWL training with our partners at FIRSTUU Austin. So if you need our whole live sexuality education in this congregation and you don't have the trainers yet, we've got you. We've got scholarships. This is happening in September. Please talk to Carol. I know Carol and I have talked about this, and send people. And again, your financial support is what's going to help us hire people to do the work day in and day out. I know we're tired. I know a lot of us are tired. We are taking our shifts for the revolution day by day. We rest some, we work some. We sing some, we dance some. We rest some, we work some. We sing some, we dance some. And we need you. The last thing I'd like to share with you is a reading from Reverend Deneen Robinson from Oak Cliff, UU, in the Dallas area. The night that the Supreme Court decision that we knew was coming came down, they held an interfaith service at First Church in Dallas, and Reverend Deneen from Oak Cliff was there. And this is some of what she said. I beg of you, go on the First Dallas podcast and YouTube and soak up some of what's happening there, which is a special place for this movement. Reverend Deneen said, we're here now. In this moment, we have to straighten our backs, stand in resolve, and commit to going at it again. Some of us, that sounds daunting because you gave all you had the last time. Those of us who are elders, the beauty of standing on the wall is you get to share the wisdom of your experiences so that those who have the strength and stamina can run and not repeat the things you've already done. Those of you who are young in this space and watching online, you get to learn, she says, so that you don't get burnt out for trying things that we've already tried that didn't quite work. Reverend Deneen says we have to know that we are in this together. It's all or nothing. I can't just vote for access to abortion without considering the constraints of poverty. I can't just vote for the constraints of poverty without considering what's going on in the LGBTQIA community. I can't just vote for queer injustices without considering abortion access. It's all or nothing, she said. And she asked this question, are you in? Are you in? Thank you, Reverend Deneen. Thank you to all my colleagues who are doing this work, who make us feel less alone in your justice ministry. And thank you to you for having me and for the work I know we are going to do together. Some of you have been in for a long time. Thank you. If you're just getting here, we've got a spot for you. Welcome to the Texas UU Justice Ministry. It sounds like chains falling. Please bring your tambourines. Blessed be.
I'm going to invite you to take your teal hymnal and turn to number 1018. Come and go with me. You all know this. Stand, rise in body or in spirit, and join me in singing. Of joy. Put your hymnals down, clap your hands, move. Ready?
Join me, please, in the words that you'll find in the order of service for extinguishing our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
I invite you to look around at your neighbors, give them some love, wave, if they're willing to hold your hand, whatever feels good with consent always for the benediction. Connect. This is your community. These are the people bending Texas toward justice with you. Spirit of life and love, blessed be the ones who are working for justice. Blessed be the ones who need rest sometimes, the ones who fall short sometimes, the ones who don't know the answer sometimes. And blessed be the ones who go to the front lines and look and see what those who are most impacted are doing and needing and saying and asking for. And then sing and work and dance together. May there be healing where we need healing. May there be reunion and reconciliation and reparation where those are needed. May we feel in ourselves that inherent worth and dignity that we know we claim as people of faith in a world that needs us. keep singing, keep dancing, bring your tambourine. Blessed be, and amen.
Thank you so much for watching our service today. We're glad you're part of our online community, where we welcome people who are diverse in faith, ethnicity, history, as well as gender identity and sexual orientation. There are many different ways you can get involved in our community. One you can do right now is by clicking like below or subscribing to our channel. If you're interested in joining our congregation, please email us at membership@firstuuhouston.org. Thanks so much for joining us.